Okay, so today we're watching the new Final Fantasy VII Timeline Explained by Maximilian Dood, so make sure to go check him out in the description below. And the main context as to why I'm doing this video is because recently Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out, and I've also recently played Final Fantasy VII Remake. And for those of you guys that don't know, essentially the remake is almost not a whole different game, but there's some time travel shenanigans essentially going on. There's some new timeline stuff / multiverse stuff that is going on. And obviously, again, for you guys that don't know, I love multiverse storylines when they're done right. And I love timeline storylines like time loops and certain things of that nature, where messing with the balance of time and messing with the balance of like the flow of events affects how the story then continues on. So we're going to be watching this video, and obviously I'm going to be giving my thoughts near the end, but yeah, let's get straight into it.
Very nice. Why doesn't it say remake? Good question. Very good question. How about because it doesn't? Remake doesn't follow after this game. The next game that comes after this is Final Fantasy VII. The old game. I think I've explained this enough. Which is interesting. It feels like the Aerith scene, the cutscene with Aerith at the beginning, wasn't the exact same. Yeah, they remade Aerith's face again. I'm not kidding. Her face looked different. For anyone that's like seen the opening of FF7 Remake, her face looked different. FF7 Remake intro. So the shot we see of Aerith comes right after this. It's not this shot they used. It's more of a close-up of this shot. You know why they made a change? So it isn't the exact same thing. Because what happens here is different than what happens in OG7. It's literally a different shot. It's like zoomed in, but it's a different shot. It's different lighting. Like you look me dead in the face and you tell me this is exactly the same. It's much further in. I mean, obviously it's a different shot. It's similar. Why would they do that, right? Why would they make it different? Why wouldn't they just cut? Even her mouth is different, I know. The reason it's different is because what happens here is technically a recreation of this, right? A recreation of the OG one. There's a reason for that, right? There's a good reason for that, and it's because Final Fantasy VII Remake takes place later. Takes place significantly later. Crisis Core and Crisis Core Reunion are the same thing, right? It's essentially the same thing. Then you got FF7, Advent Children, as much as I don't want to talk about it. Fucking dirge. Timeline. All of these happen in a actual timeline. Straight time, right? Here, right? At what point does it deviate? It's not before FF7, right? It's pretty much right after this one. It's like right here. Sephiroth like goes back in fucking time. No, so there's a third timeline here where Sephiroth goes back in time or some shit. This guy is essentially dead right here. And then he fucking somehow through a weird existence of existing in the live stream or some dumb shit, creating a new timeline with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, right? Henceforth, right? Henceforth, he also creates a new Crisis Core here. This is the ongoing theory. I mean, right? Essentially, Dirge is retcon. Yeah, in 7 Remake, Dirge is retcon. Can I fucking get this thing, bro? Dirge seemingly is fucking donezo, which is why they're saying we have no plans of remaking it. Crisis Core in the new timeline, like Zack, is alive. In the new Crisis Core ending, Zack lives. And he carries Cloud to Midgar. However, you're right. There is a third timeline. You're fucking right, bro, dude. You're right. And in fact, this gets moved because Sephiroth's bitch ass down here creates like another fucking timeline, right? That goes up. And this is where Remake is. And this is where Rebirth is. We're over here. Plot Ghosts are here. And Plot Ghosts are also down here. They messed shit up. So Sephiroth essentially uses Plot Ghosts to create a new reality, to create a one where he doesn't get fucking murdered. The will of the planet type shit. But that in turn leaves Zack alive through some weird...
Okay, so I know people who haven't played Final Fantasy VII or the remake have probably are a little bit confused. So let me go ahead and reiterate again essentially what happened. So essentially, Crisis Core is a game that happens before Final Fantasy VII. It focuses on a character named Zack, who is essentially kind of like a prequel character. So he ends up dying in Crisis Core. So Final Fantasy VII then happens after Crisis Core. So everything with Cloud, Sephiroth, that all happens. Advent Children is a spin-off. Also, why does my light keep turning off? And essentially what it's a little bit wishy-washy, but it's essentially that's where Sephiroth dies. Let me simplify that. That's where Sephiroth dies. So right there, as you can see with the mini Sephiroth, this is where the timeline splits. So Sephiroth in Remake, he goes back in time to essentially force, well, essentially he wants to force a new outcome of events. Obviously, he doesn't want to die and he wants to get his wish, which was obviously to destroy the planet. You get what I'm trying to say? He's trying to get the Black Meteor, you know, he was trying to... You know what I'm saying? I don't obviously want to say too much because it is technically spoilers for those who haven't played Final Fantasy VII before, but Sephiroth, he wants to go back in time and he wants to stop himself from dying so he can achieve what he wants to achieve. So, because of that, you now have the two timelines, where you have the timeline of Final Fantasy VII Remake, where I think Zack from the prequel timeline, so not Cloud, Zack, he died, so it follows the same trajectory, but different stuff happened. And you also have Crisis Core at the bottom, the new Crisis Core, kind of, well, not Crisis, the other timeline where Zack lives. Let me simplify it like that. So you got the timeline where Zack lives, which is at the bottom, and you got the timeline where Sephiroth's gone back and tried to change the timeline. That was a lot to explain, but this is why I love time loop type stories. It just gets funny after a certain point, and it gets even more complicated from here.
Combination of events. The new Crisis Core timeline should split somewhere between the middle of Remake. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could do this, like up here. Like if we portrayed it this way. Yeah, now we have like Rebirth with our current characters. Merge both into Rebirth? Yeah, I guess so. I guess you're right. Yeah, this is looking much better. This is looking like this is starting to make sense. These come to a point, and Rebirth is right here now. And we take Crisis Core, and I think it's up here? I guess that it's tough to convey in like a basic diagram. It's actually kind of tough. I'm sure somebody has a much more accurate, you know, model of this. FF7 Remake timeline theory. Damn, boy, this shit's getting okay. So here's what fans have made.
Oh gosh.
Wow. Okay, so quantum event, a past changing event occurs between this and this. The quantum event causes a reality to branch from this point containing a changed event. Cause unknown. Multiple timeline changes. Second past changing event occurs later than the first, resulting in fundamental timeline changes, but early enough to prevent Rufus from revelation as a traitor. The quantum event causes a new timeline reality to branch from this point, changing the event. Cause unknown. That's right, because Jesse lives. Party leaves Midgar in OG FF7. Known OG events. Cloud and party enter Singularity, destroy Harbinger, party leaves at Midgar, unknown events. Yes. Here's essentially where Zack is alive. Zack lives, yeah. And here's the thing. They're not gonna play it off, right? They're not gonna play this shit off like, there are multiple timelines, bro. Like, they're not. There's going to be, during the game, you're not gonna get any of this shit, because this is all fucking crazy fan theory, right? Yeah, this is actually not looking that much different than what, like, mine was sort of looking like, right? Just in a different order. It isn't just me that has made these things. Crisis Core to FF7 to Advent Children. Sephiroth goes back to the past. Destiny's Crossroads happen. Zack gets fucked up, creates a new timeline. There's now FF7, but there's now also a timeline where Zack survives. This one is pretty similar to fucking mine. Yeah, it's not that hard. Like, we're not gonna have to interact with all this crazy shit. You're not. What will happen, though, is that the characters will essentially be learning that this shit is taking place. And that, once again, the number one way you introduce this to the player, that this, like, there's some weird timeline shit going on, isn't by throwing this shit out. No, it's Bugenhagen. It's this fucking guy. This fucking kooky old man is gonna be who's gonna have all the goddamn answers. This fucking guy is gonna know everything from here to here. This bitch is gonna remember that that he was alive at some point. It's the smartest guy on the planet. As soon as we get, I'm telling you right now, there's only one other character in this story that's as smart as Bugenhagen that could possibly know about what's going on. And this one's kind of crazy to me too. And it's this fucking guy. The only other character that might actually know what's going on with this is literally Hojo, which is kind of sick, right? It's Palmer, yes. It could literally, Hojo could be aware that this shit is happening. That makes Hojo an even better bad guy, because Hojo is the ultimate bad guy of Final Fantasy VII. It's actually not Sephiroth and shit. It's Hojo. Hojo's the biggest piece of shit of them all. And he wouldn't want to stop it, no. He would be just an observer, because he's a scientist, right? He wants to see everything fucking crumble. I don't think it's Hojo's fault this is happening. I think it's Sephiroth. I think Sephiroth is our Darth Vader of the story. But I think Hojo figures it out. I think Hojo eventually gets to a point where he gets some information and he knows, right? Where he's like aware. Or maybe he's just allowing it to happen because he's wanting something, you know? And also, yeah, there's another character that clearly understands what's going on, and it's this chick. There's one other character that clearly knows what's happening, and it's her. Like, super aware. Almost the most aware of all of them. It pretty much tells it directly to our fucking face that this is all happening. And there's another character that honestly does too. There's actually a lot of characters aware. Cloud's aware too. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on though. He's too stupid. Cloud's an idiot. But Cloud is getting visions of the future, of things that haven't happened yet. Things that happened technically in the past, technically. But he gets a ton of visions. He knows, but he doesn't know what it means. This shit's getting wild. This is why everyone's fucking excited. That's why Rebirth is gonna be so exciting, right? Why Rebirth is essentially like just as exciting as FF7 Remake. Because now that we know that they're doing all this crazy shit, we don't know to what degree they're going to be doing. They're setting up a whole bunch of stuff for 2023, and there is going to be a huge amount of news this year for Rebirth.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. Again, go check out Maximilian Dood if you want to see any more videos like this or any of his other content that he does. But let me put it like this, like Rebirth's already out, so we kind of already know what's kind of happened, and it's still kind of confusing. It goes into more so, some people believe, I think it's a multiverse, some people believe that it's the timeline thing, and some people believe that well, I mean, timeline's a multiverse, basically the same thing, but... And some people believe that, because I was watching this video quite earlier, is that the whole live stream, which is essentially the live source of the planet, is the reason, it's all connected. You know, like all these different events, they all happen kind of in tandem, if that makes any sense. It's all part of the live stream. It's not a whole different multiverse or anything like that. So this is why it is a very complicated story, but I do enjoy stories like this because it does kind of make you think, oh, so what's going to be changed from the originals? And leading on from that, this is why I would say any of you guys who have never played Final Fantasy VII Remake before, go play it. I promise you that game is so good. I originally didn't play it purely because I was kind of like, can I get into it? I'm not too sure. I was one of those guys. I finally sat down, gave myself 2 hours to play it. I said, you know what? Let me just see what people are talking about. I promise you, the game is beautiful, considering the game came out 2020. It came out, it was a PS4 game. It was a PS4 game. Let me just put it like that. It was a PS4 game. But the game is still beautiful on PS5. The story, again, brilliant. Even though you haven't played the previous versions, I haven't actually played Final Fantasy VII myself. I know what happens in the story because I've watched videos about it, but I never played it myself. So I don't have that, you know, specific callback straight to all the past events. But even if you are a newcomer like myself, when you kind of go into the game not really understanding what's going to happen, it's still a great starting point. I'm not even going to lie to you. But even once you finish the game, even once you've gone through it all, going back to then either play Final Fantasy VII the original or going to see just videos of what changed is such an interesting experience, because you get to see what people were expecting and what they kind of got out of the remake, and how that changes throughout the new storyline which they've done, which is like, which is now more so focused on these ghosts, these like specters that are trying to preserve the original timeline, but because of what Sephiroth is doing, he is constantly destroying the timeline, constantly destroying the live stream, essentially, because he's going against what the planet's will wants. Now, again, Rebirth's already out. There are other stuff in Rebirth that happens, such as the weapons of the planet getting released way earlier than they should, and certain facts like that. I don't want to go through all of it because obviously that would be spoilers, but that's why I just find the story of Final Fantasy VII Remake onwards, like this remake trilogy, so interesting, because it's like, wow, I could legit go back and play Final Fantasy VII now, and I'll be like, wow, it didn't happen the way I played it on, you know, the remake. And yeah, honestly, again, like, this is a little bit of an advertisement. Just go play Final Fantasy VII. Just go play it. Obviously, I'm not trying to repeat myself, and I'm not trying to make this too long, but it's a brilliant game, has a brilliant story, and I'm actually kind of sad as well that Rebirth didn't do as well as it should have, obviously, in sales. But again, me, if I knew the game was good, if I knew it was as good as a remake was, if I actually played it beforehand, I would have bought it obviously day one. But you know, we're here now, and I do intend to buy Rebirth at some point. But you know what I'm saying, it wasn't in my plans. So yeah, other than that though, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was, you know, just a quick look at Final Fantasy VII, a quick advertisement, essentially, as I said again. If you like my commentary and are new to the channel, please leave a like and also subscribe, because that very much helped me out. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.